Game 1 done. Game 2. Let's go. Picks and bans. Benji on his own. Will they get the move from the topple here? A big time ultimate from Stealth Connects.
They've only gotten one so far. CycloneSpin finds a double. They're going to rush right in. Cyclone all the way to the back line. That's going to be a triple kill. He's going right for it. He's got the Quadra if he picks the right target. Quadra kill. Looking for the big one. And it's going to be a penta.
Into picks and bans we go, and Envy will once again be first pick, first ban up against Denial.
The issue for EnVyUs was definitely the mobility that the Giannis provided with the threshold, with the through space and time. The one time that they forced the Giannis out in the earlier stages of the Gold Fury teamfight, they won that teamfight. But from there, they never really had any dominant teamfights.
It's a good point. I think it maybe was the Giannis that was a big one. Denial, though, recognizing the Athena was a power play for Omega, they will ban that away. And Denial really focused on Omega in the last game. They hit every single god that he's played so far in the jungle this year. And now they're going to turn their attention to the newest god that they forced him onto in Athena being banned.
And it's also a flex pick for EnVyUs. They could put it solo, they could put it Guardian. It doesn't really matter. And with that, we do have a Giannis ban for EnVyUs. They didn't like the way Xenotronics was being so mobile for the rest of his team. Just not going to allow him to play that option. Zeus being banned away, MLC liking that option.
So will it be Sol again for Envy, or maybe they'll look for the Sobek for Eonic this time round if they want him on a little bit more of a comfortable god? I probably see Sol coming out here.
Potentially so. It depends what they want to do, whether they want global presence on Neith or Thor. They're going to go for the Sobek for Eonic. The way Shadowq was also playing Sobek was very aggressive, looking for those plucks around corners. It makes it very difficult for EnVyUs to turn a corner when you have Shadowq waiting for you around the corner. So not giving Shadowq that option. Very smart by EnVyUs.
So will be Sol and Thor locked in. And with that, you could expect Nijar potentially from Omega, but I think that's what Denial want them to do, is lock in the Nijar here for Omega in the jungle if they want to go that route. Sol has a pretty good matchup against Nijar just because of the disapparate taking away a lot of the damage that you can see out. And Thor, well, it kind of counterpicks Thor with Nijar's Sash being available to slow him down, but it's always the risk-reward of where you're going to find other picks.
And now Ravana being picked. This could be jungle as well with the Warriors for Omega. I've seen him play some Ravana in the jungle earlier on with CycloneSpin.
Yeah.
And this is a good pick because getting ganked by Ravana around level 3 when you get rooted and consistently slowed, it's not going to be pretty in the solo lane.
And Ravana as well with speed buff, 20% extra movement speed on that little man coming out of the jungle with the root too.
Good luck getting away from that.
Scylla locked in for Envy as well. Stealth going to go back to his tried, true, tested, well-known ability to land those abilities. Even at the World Championships, Khepri, though, will be locked in response for Shadowq in Denial.
I wouldn't be surprised if EnVyUs plays Outquang solo lane just to counter the Khepri, get an assassin into the solo lane for CycloneSpin to carry, have Omega with Ravana camp his lane, getting CycloneSpin ahead, and then once CycloneSpin does rotate to these team fights, countering the Khepri completely.
Well, you mentioned that, but they seem to think that that is a solo lane rather, because they've banned Hercules in the jungle here for Omega potentially. I don't think they're really banning the Hercules away from Cyclone here.
No, it's more than likely not intended for Cyclone ban. It's definitely for the Omega ban. Osiris and the Bellona being banned away for EnVyUs. They don't want to deal with those aggressive warriors early on, which leads me to believe that it is potentially going to be a squishier target in the solo lane.
Well, when you actually see Benji's god pool so far this year, it's been Bellona, Amaterasu, Osiris, and Vamana. 2 of those banned away. Vamana and Amaterasu still available, but we're not seeing too much of Amy's this patch.
Not too many. Neith being locked in for EnVyUs, having the global presence, which will allow a lot of assistance to the solo lane. We'll see what this last pick is. It is going to be Bakasura. So these 2 picks between Ravana and Bakasura could easily intertwine. Now, the fact that they did ban away Bellona leads me to believe that it might be Bakasura in the solo lane because that's a direct counter. And with that, Wukong is going to be in the solo lane. It's going to be interesting to see the solo lane matchup, whether it's Bakasura or Ravana against Sun Wukong.
The way you call this, though, I think it is going to be the Baka solo because Disarm from Bellona is just so strong against the Bakasura in the early stages, shuts him down a little bit. Sun Wukong, though, against Baka, how do you feel about that matchup if it's going to be that way? I
think early game, the Bakasura will be able to out-pressure him in terms of out-trading, but once the Sun Wukong hits level 3, if he goes into the laning phase uncontested by getting ganked by Omega, then he'll be fine. But I don't expect EnVyUs to let this Sun Wukong go uncontested.
Well, we say it's going to be Bakasura in the solo lane, but we won't find out until we get into game. And guess what? That game is ready.
Still looking to go in. Benji made it out. Xenotronics over the wall. We'll take out Eonic. And now dashing forward. Xeno finds a double kill. Mace in the face, turning back around, Mass in the jungle though. He just two-shot him!
Gonna look to try and dash away, but the ball's already there. And Benji recognizes that, doesn't use his dash, ults in place, gets the stun, turn around, kill 2v1. And it's going to be CycloneSpin in the solo lane on the Bakasura. Death's Toll boots is his start, along with potions. And in the jungle, Ravana, Omega's going for the power pot with Bulwark start as well as Curse.
So they're going to be able to clear the early jungle camps very efficiently with CycloneSpin being able to eat a minion. They could potentially do the same start where they did mids to blue to... I'm sorry, mids to speed to blue from there. Now, they don't have the Wrath. Instead, they elected for the Curse, which leads me to believe that there is going to be an early aggression in the solo lane. If they can catch Sun Wukong at level 2, assuming that Sun Wukong doesn't have his transformation form, then they'll definitely find the kill.
So you reckon it's going to be a gank at level 2 in solo instead of maybe invading in the jungle early on with the Baka Ravana combo and the Curse?
It could be a gank, but early on, a level 1 play between Thor and Sun Wukong is very strong. It's going to be interesting to see who's going to tank it, because if CycloneSpin goes in, he's going to tank it, pop his health and multi-pot to absorb it, then reset it to Omega.
Well, we won't see an invade because already the minions have spawned, as well as Eat Minion has been taken by Cyclone here. Wall coverage down from Denial lets them know on both sides of the Harpies that neither Harpies have been done at the beginning of this game. So a safe start so far from Envy. They're going to go over straight to the blue. And a little bit behind at the moment, I'll say Envy is for a moment or two there as they pull that buff out. But Consume Minion from Cyclone should speed this up.
Yeah, the way you build your passive stacks with Bakasura is very important. Getting that extra attack speed to clear the way first. Thor's going to leave the lane, which is going to expose Benji a little bit. We'll see if Omega does get the root.
Well, we saw Omega hang there for a second. I was like, maybe he's just going to hang around and wait for the little bit of bait and try and get the curse off if he can find it. But no, instead, he'll soak a wave of experience. Meanwhile, Denial, they're going to get the right-hand mid Harpies here. Stealth is here to contest.
He doesn't find the last steal, and with that, Ravana does get the Fire Giant Imps along with the Bakasura. Gonna neglect the solo lane, however. Gonna instead try to make sure Stealth doesn't get too far behind, doesn't want Stealth to lose any gold under the tower. And when you have Purple Pot Soulstone onto the Scylla here, you want to take advantage of this, especially when you have Curse onto the Ravana jungle.
And both these mages in mid lane do have power potion starts here to go with those soul stones, so just keep an eye. The extra damage will come out. Omega and Stealth are going to swing around now, but look at this rotation coming out from Shadowq is going to force back Envy from contesting these left-hand Harpies.
This is a huge advantage for Denial. They get both mid Harpies, and now Omega with the Curse is being practically useless right now, and not having the purification available to him. In maybe later on he can get caught on. It's going to be very difficult for him to disengage.
Do you think the curse early game is all just for the early game here, or is it something that he feels confident that he doesn't have to go purification so early?
It's not necessarily only for the early game, because you have the sustain coming out of the Sun Wukong's ultimate, and the healing from Vetium's just in hands naturally. So it's not the worst thing in the world to go mid-game, but you're trying to get that early game advantage. You pick Bakasura on purpose in the solo lane, no matter, and you ban away the Bellona and the Osiris. You pick Ravana jungle with Curse. They're not really executing the strategy that's pretty obvious to me.
Well, a little bit of pressure coming out from Envy in the duo lane right now as we're looking at the solo lane. But duo lane got a bit of pressure because Shadowq made that rotation to secure left-hand Harpies. But it's not going to be too much. I mean, it is still a Neith versus Xbalanque, but Shadowq should even that out now with that Khepri once more.
They have to be very careful. If Khepri gets blocked into root, he's going to take a lot of damage. And if they do that again, they might find the kill, especially when it's pre-level 5.
Especially when Khepri, well, he starts with a little bit lower health than he used to nowadays. He's still not made as much of an impact to make him not playable at the moment.
Only losing 50 health in one of the patches, it's not the worst thing in the world.
50 at level 1's a lot of health, Toli.
It's a lot of health, but...
All you solo laners were complaining about Sun Wukong forever when we did that.
Anyway, going back to the
see?
Mass taking a little bit of poke from Omega. Speed buff is respawning in about 15 seconds, so Omega wants to potentially look for an aggressive play. Bakasura is going to back, does have teleport online, boots 3 as well.
Yeah, Shadowq just been pinged out where he was in the jungle there, coming out from Kiki. As Eonic, well, like you said, he's got Watcher's Gift and Boots. And there's 2 curses on this team already. Why is there 2 curses?
If they ever play aggressively around the jungle, somebody gets caught out without an escape or mobility. If they catch out Xenotronics, who doesn't have a real escape, if they catch out Shadowq without a plug, if Shadowq engages and then he gets cursed on and turned on, he's going to be the primary target.
Good talking about that. Speed buff goes the way of Omega. Cyclone combining there, going to pick up the blue buff as well. Masked is over on this side of the map here, soaking some experience. And he'll probably go over and help Benji with the blue buff now that he realizes blue has now fallen for EnVy.
So Mask looking to play aggressive, however, he's going to be the one turned on. Forced to
There's
hammer
curse.
away. Curse is used. Ultimate in response for Mask does escape the danger. Trading your Thor ultimate for a Curse, favoring the Thor in the situation just off of cooldown. So
Oh, that favors the Thor, you reckon?
yeah, because it's a 90-second cooldown versus a 150-second cooldown on the Curse. So just off of those timings alone. As long as you don't get caught during that 90 seconds that it's down, then the next window, the next 60 seconds, now Omega won't have the Curse.
But you don't feel like the power plays in EnVy's favor just because they've not got that global ultimate to worry about now?
Yeah, now they can play more aggressively for the next couple of seconds.
Talking about playing aggressively, they go aggressive onto Xenotronics there, who uses Disapparate to get away. Stealth will secure these Harpies with Omega and Eonic in tow, as the rest of Denial from the mid lane for the time being.
So now EnVyUs securing their first left side mid Harpies, trying to stabilize. But however, EnVyUs still has a little bit of a lead despite losing the first sets of mid Harpies.
Benji's very, very low there. Has to use his ultimate, as you did see Cyclone trade out his Regurgitate there to put some pressure onto him. So 1-for-1 trade and ultimate, but this gives a sign for EnVy to look at the Gold Fury here. They think they've got an opportunity. Well, Thor's ult is still down for a few more seconds. Not long though, but can anybody here from Denial get here in time and recognize what's going on before it's too late? I'm a Monster's going to come out. Denial, did he just steal that with poison and an auto attack?
That's what it looks like, and with that lead, they're now wanting to play aggressive. Mask is around the corner. Omega might be in a little bit of trouble, forced to use his ultimate defensively, and now the board invade does happen. Denial getting the Gold Fury. Really good play from Vetium.
There's been so many Hunter steals so far. I believe actually last year, the god that secured the most Gold Furies was Xbalanque.
Well,
Out of the whole season.
You never expect a Hunter to just steal it with a basic ability. You always expect a big bursty play. And EnVyUs had the Alma Monster, had Lurking in the Water. Unfortunately, they didn't use it at the same timing. A little bit of staggered. If they coordinated that a little bit better, then there was no potential for Denial to steal it. Unfortunately, for EnVyUs, they don't secure the Gold Fury.
Just shaking my head at that one, because I'm just so surprised with the amount of secure they have on that side to lose it to Vetium with a poison dart and an auto attack potentially. Really surprising. And now, I tell you what, EnVy will be a little bit in their own head after that one, giving up that free Gold Fury.
Well, with the experience that they have, they're not going to allow themselves to get in their head. I'm sure they're going to talk about it after the game, but everything that happens during the game, they have to quickly forget about it and think about the next objective moving forward.
Nobody on zone duty as well, just multiple issues with that, so Denial have a bit of an advantage for the time being.
And now with the next objective that they're looking for is the potential speed buff invade. They don't really care that the Gold Fury is down. They're still going to look for the plays that they can.
But Shadowq and Xenotronics are here as well. Eonic going to lead in, but a good wall from Mass is going to stop them getting anywhere near stealing that speed. World Weaver coming out from Kiki there early on to Mass to force him away, and they're actually looking for the pick here on Kiki. Sorry, to Shadowq, I should say. But Darkest of Nights and Thor in the sky, stealth could be a focus, and he is, you know. Purification already used, has to Sentinel away and pop the I'm a Monster. He's going to go back in and look for some pressure onto Mass, who's in an awkward spot. I'm a Monster off the mark, but the ult from Shadowq was good anyway to secure it. Eonic's under pressure as well, has to lurk in the waters, and with Cyclone's rotation, he's looking for pressure, and he might be body blocking Shadowq to death. The bug does not like that many people, but the jukes are good.
Really good juke by Shadowq. We've known him to be a very good juker. Now CycloneSpin jump is down, not able to find the kill onto Mass. Too aggressive was CycloneSpin. Pays with his life. Really good counter aggression from Denial, recognizing that they could use those wombo combo ultis between the Xbalanque and the Thor, trying to get that pressure back in their favor.
They forced Stealth out, then they forced Omega out, then they forced Eonic out. Cyclone comes in, and he's the one that ends up dying for it all.
He almost gets 2 kills in the process as well. So he's very good about rotating in, playing that cleanup crew right now. Had Omega sat in that solo lane earlier on, trying to find a kill, because he did able to force a trade in ultimates between Benji and CycloneSpin, and whenever you trade a Wukong ulti for the Bakasura ulti, that favors CycloneSpin in that situation. So from there, if there was a little bit of a lead for Baka, he would be able to easily get these kills.
Well, back up, he's been taken by Kiki with Eonic and tow, just trying to soak experience. And Kiki at the moment, level 9 to the level 10 of Vetium, but he's going to have a few more minions in the wave to go and clear out when he gets back there at the moment. Did just get news through, though, guys, for you all wondering at home how Vetium stole that Gold Fury. It was a branching bowler.
That is very annoying when you can steal
That's
the Gold
worse
Fury
than an
with
auto,
an in-hit.
right?
Yeah, darts
No, because branching bowler is the extension of the initial hit.
Well, the initial burst of it, there's like secondary.
Yeah.
There's the secondary branching ball, and there's the primary one that you do hit. We do have an engage around the red buff.
Xenotronics has to use Disapparate, but that's going to be on cooldown soon, and Omega recognizing it gets a very good ultimate off onto 2 people, but Vetium going to use the Rising Jaguar to get away. The curse has been popped by Omega. He's still continuing forward, but he took a lot of pressure there from Xenotronics in hand. Shadowq has to roll himself. Armor Monster was a little bit too early, and Shadowq will now survive, and Stealth should pay the price.
Mask did miss the in-hand, but Xenotronics was there to pick it up. Kiki does get darts. There's nowhere for him to go. Mask credited with that kill. Denial getting the 2-for-0 so far. Bakasura, yet again, CycloneSpin known to proxy the wave, but Benji doesn't care. He's very content at just farming right now. And as Wukong, you want to put yourself in a position to just favor team fights. Eonic's going to get dove? No, he's not.
He got a little bit of pressure. I think if the wall would have landed from Mass, that could have been a completely different story for Eonic, who was just trying to pick up some farm in the mid lane here. Cyclone still on the right-hand side, though. Speed buff is about to come up for Denial, but I think you may need to consider looking towards mid lane here because it's being pressured once more. Luckily, though, Omega is already here.
So the way EnVyUs are playing these team fights are a little bit interesting because Eonic is finding the pluck initially, and during that engage, Omega didn't switch his target to Shadowq, who was plucked. He continued to try to zone, which is kind of the soul lane mentality that he's still having by trying to zone instead of looking for that primary target, finding the kill. Had he just used one of ability while he was mid-air, Shadowq would have died without his ultimate being used at all. The Armor Monster would have switched to a different target as well, and EnVyUs could have potentially snowballed the rest of that team fight.
Well, because of that, Denial were the ones that are up 3-0 now. And Wukong still farming away is Benji over in that solo lane with Nemenian line online as well to go with the meditation that he picked up his first relic. CycloneSpin hasn't got a second relic just yet. We'll see if he goes for... What do you expect him to go for? Purification or Blink or...
It's very important to get Purification. You don't want to get Chain CC before your ultimate. You have the Thor Tectonic Rift. If you get Tiger stunned by some Wukong, plucked by the Khepri, you're not going to be able to escape that. So definitely going to be the
Kiki's turn. It's Kiki's turn, Tolly. Are you ready? He's going to steal it with an Unravel.
He's going to steal with a golden bow.
No, Unravel. I'm going to call Unravel. No, this is not going to happen because we're going to see Envy swinging around the back. Forced to reset. Eonic gets pressured a lot, takes a lot of free poke. Kiki off the mark with the Spirit Arrow, but Envy do force the reset from Denial for now.
Both teams just kind of playing the dancing game. Kiki might be in a little bit of trouble. Forced a backflip away. Eonic is looking for a potential
Denial want to
pluck.
fight. Denial really want to fight. They're already back on the Gold Fury again. They're trying to draw in the targets of Envy and find the prime opportunity for it. Gold Fury just keeps getting pulled and reset. And Cyclone going to return back to base here. Has teleport available as Benji. Well, he's rotated all the way over without teleport just now. So a bit of an advantage here. We'll see what Cyclone chooses to do as Omega looking at Shadowq, who was far forward there.
CycloneSpin does teleport underneath Gold Fury, potentially looking to play aggressive onto Vetium if Kiki can find the route. Instead, he's going to be concept at taking some farm away. Benji going back to Soul Lane as a response. Yeah. More importantly, Benji still has the teleport, so now Denial can bait Envy to start Gold Fury, and then Benji can rotate. This could be a tier 1 tower in the Soul Lane.
This is a nice little play coming out from Denial, let's be honest. They just waited around with Benji's rotation. They got a teleport. That's all they got was a teleport, but now they're going to get some pressure on the right-hand side. They're going to force Envy to potentially look at making Cyclone's teleport worthwhile here, as Benji's going to proxy farm a wave there to make sure that tower's going to take even more pressure. Envy are hanging around the Gold Fury yet, but they just don't feel comfortable trying to do it.
This is going to create a huge golden experience gap between Cyclone and Benji. Getting that proxy wave, getting the solo tower, forces Envy to start the Gold Fury. Benji is going to look for the teleport as Shadowq does get plucked, but the follow-up is not connected.
Is going up in the sky as Eonic has to use Lurk in the Walls. Mask crashes on the back and forces 2 members away. Cyclone pops his ult defensively and turns it back onto Benji to get some damage off. Stealth has no abilities to follow up there onto Benji initially, so he will get into the Sun Cloud. Gold Fury started by Denial here, and only really Stealth with the Armor Monster available. Mass recognizing he's over the wall will turn his attention to Stealth, force the Armor Monster. Armor Monster off the mark against the World Weaver came out as well from Kiki to help him out. Meanwhile, Kiki being zoned out by Benji. Gold Fury goes the way of Denial again, and Kiki surrounded by Benji in the Jingle Bang picks up the kill.
Just like that, the Neith does fall. It was a 2-for-0 for Denial. They also are able to find the Gold Fury 12-minute mark. They're up about 5,000 gold right now.
Yeah, let's just go to the graphs there, because take into account we saw Benji get the tier 1 tower, which is 500 gold for that, as well as the Gold Fury, and that's just 2 staggered dips you can see there. But the bigger thing at 13 minutes, we mentioned this earlier on, it's 7,000 experience lead at 13 minutes. That's a lot.
And like I mentioned, the way Denial played that, they forced CycloneSpin to the left-hand side. Benji rotates middle, that he soaks a mid wave of experience, forces a little bit of an engage on the left-hand side, forces the teleport, gets another mid wave, goes back to the right-hand side, gets 2 solo waves, gets a tower, gets more golden experience than CycloneSpin. There's just a tactical positioning that Denial are playing right now is very important for EnVyUs to recognize and not fall into another trap.
Well, right hop, he's going to go the way of Denial here. Left one's due to spawn soon as Eonic in mid lane with his jungler in mid in support once again, which he's used to seeing so far this season. Still grouped up together, but left harpies maybe contested. Omega going to lead from the front. Shadowq going to get a good route off though, and Denial get those harpies and get some good poke on Omega for free.
That's a lot of poke. Just that was one Thor hammer and the Khepri Rising Dawn as well, just like that.
And look at this, Vetium's made a rotation to mid here. Looks like they're going to try and pressure mid lane. With Vetium now coming over as well, they're going to minion wave in tow. You saw the members of Envy actually went to the back harpies there. Only Omega was there to defend, so already a couple of free pokes. A mass wall's going to come around, but around the back is Kiki. Going to get the unravel off onto Xenotronics and force the disapparate for him. Mast, however, in the sky now as the Darkest of Nights comes. They may look to combo this one. They're looking for Kiki in the jungle, but the backflip from Kiki was on the mark. Meanwhile, though, Benji solos CycloneSpin on the Bakasura, who didn't use ultimate. There's a supernova coming out. Vetium will get a credit for the kill onto Kiki as Mast with the Berserker Barrage will clean up stealth. Tier 2 tower in mid. This is a surrender vote already. It's going to go through.
14.5 minutes surrender vote. EnVyUs losing yet again to Denial, 2-0. It's not looking good for them. They now 2-10 in their last 12 games, dropping to about 7-13.
Was that a surrender time then, though? Do you agree with the surrender? Was it a little bit too... It's only
Second game,
minutes?
I don't agree. If that was the first game, I would agree with the surrender. You still have Scylla. That is a potential late game hyper carry. The problem was the fact that the Sun Wukong was already ahead of the Bakasura.
Yeah.
The goal of EnVyUs was to try to get CycloneSpin ahead. And they couldn't really find it. Omega rotated middle. He didn't sit in that lane specifically. But CycloneSpin is known to get ahead in the solo lane playing Assassins. This game, he didn't quite find it. And as a result, EnVyUs doesn't get the win.
Something's just not working out for EnVyUs right now. That makes him, out of the last 10 games they've played, they've only found 1 win. And that was against Randozzo's, where they split. Bad times for EnVyUs, but good times for Denial, because we said how important this was for Denial coming into this week. If they want to try and stay in contention for the DreamHack, they need to make sure they make a push now, and beating Envy is a good talking point for that. Player from the game for you. Who was a big focal point?
I would say Mast for sure. The way he played and initiated into the first game, he always found the Blink ultimates and set up the Giannis ultimates as well for his escape. And in this kill reel, like they always found the portals, the unstable vortexes, the plugs into getting the kill onto Mast. Giannis is able to escape as well. Just Denial's composition and the way they played it tactically was very beautiful.
He did a very good job of either engaging or just sitting back and waiting for the engagement of Sobek to come through first game 1. He didn't fully commit straight away. I love the attention switch there onto Kiki when the cavalry charge came out.
And they also did a good job forcing the Guan Yu out early on in the first game team fights, not allowing him to get ahead. Every single time, looking from the backhand side, Shadowq and Mast playing together, forcing out Stealth. Stealth didn't get any damage off in certain team fights as a result.
Yeah, so we're going to see a little bit of pressure from Max once again. Just jumping in over and over again. He's recognizing targets. Getting that Fear No Evil on those two was very important for breaking the back of Envy on that little skirmish engagement there for them.
A lot of cooldowns was used in that earlier engagement. The EnVyUs tried to overextend by getting the tier 2 tower and get punished by Mast underneath rotation. We saw him actually do speed buff, his back right harpies, and then wrap around underneath for that flank.
Now, game 2. Only 14 minutes long, but we can show you the graphs from the jungle control from this game of the two teams, and you can see how dominant it was. 61% of the game was controlled by them. This is at 5-minute mark already. You can see Denial in a great position. 10 minutes is still the same, if not goes up a little bit more. And the Gold Fury control, well, pretty much that's down to Vetium, that one.
Yeah, that Gold Fury steal by Vetium, but with a branching bola. I would be very annoyed. Maybe that actually did get into their heads for EnVyUs. Normally, you shouldn't allow that to get into your head. You just play on, and they consistently look for buff invades, which they did, but they couldn't find it.
And game 2, this was a steal with a branching bowler, as you mentioned there. Off the target with the Armor Monster and the Lurking in the Water, as you mentioned, they just weren't timed correctly. And then we just go follow Masters. He just carried on doing what he started off with game 1, looking for invasions, looking for picks in the jungle, just trying to find what they can, and worked out well.
And the way Denial are positioning themselves, they're always together, and they're trying to escape together. The way Mast initiates, he never got hit by Armor Monster also every single time. There was one Gold Fury where he teleported it with a hammer behind the Gold Fury and jukes out the Armor Monster.
So with that, we'll see Denial advance 2-0. Let's go to the standings now then and see the big change up here. Denial, well, they're still 5th, but they managed to go 9-7, so they're starting to close the gap on these top seeded teams.
Starting to close the gap right now. They're 4 games less played than Luminosity. They have a tough schedule ahead of Denial. They have Luminosity next, and then Soar, Allegiance, and lastly, Enemy. So we'll see the next couple weeks how Denial are going to perform, because if they want to reach that top 3 in DreamHack, they're going to need those wins.
And there is DreamHack there for you boys and girls. DreamHack.se if you want to get tickets and go to the event and see those 9 international teams that will be in attendance, as well as the 4 Paladins teams that will be there for the Founders Tournament. We're going to be having 4 Paladins as well. We'll be there. Will you, is the question. But finally, that's not all for today. You mentioned Allegiance and you mentioned Soar. They're in the top half of the table, or at least Soar's in the top half of the table right now. And that's going to be our next game coming up shortly after the break soon. It's going to be a good time between the two. Soar versus Allegiance, where's your money on?
I'm going to lean towards Soar. Soar's looking really on fire right now. Allegiance still trying to find their stride. They're really going to need something.
Roster changes.
You think so?
Well, not roster switch-ups, right? That's what they were doing. They were saying Mackie.
Oh, yes. Incon did indeed go to support.
Incon back on support. Will he be doing it this game, or is it Mackie on the support again? We'll find out after this short break with Soar versus Allegiance.